I want you to think about that particular morning when you woke up, you swung your legs over the bed, and before your feet hit the floor, something already feels wrong. Your shoulders are stiff. Your knees ache. Your hands feel like they belong to someone else twice your age. You think, did I sleep wrong? Did I overdo it yesterday? But then it happens again the next morning and the morning after that. And slowly, quietly, getting out of bed becomes something you dread. You go to the doctor, you take some x-rays, they run some blood work, and they tell you one of two things. Either everything looks normal or you have early arthritis. And you sit there with that arthritis. You are in your 40s or 50s. You thought you had decades before that word applied to you. What your doctor never said, what they never connect is that pain in your joints, the stiffness in your shoulders, and the aches that wake you up at 3 a.m. has a name. And that name is not arthritis. It is the inflammation hijack. And estrogen is at the center of it. Here's something that stopped me in my tracks when I first learned of it. 50% of women in perimenopause experience significant joint pain. 50%. That is 1 in 2. And yet, joint pain is almost never on the list when a doctor sits down to talk to a woman about what to expect in midlife. Hot flashes? Yes. Night sweats? Yes. Mood changes? Sometimes. But joint pain? Stiffness so severe that women describe feeling disabled. Almost never connect to the real cause. Today, I'm going to change that for you. I'm going to explain exactly what is happening in your body without all the medical jargon commonly used by experts or doctors. I'm going to walk you through the 3 ways this pain shows up in most women do not recognize as hormonal. And I'm going to give you a clear, practical action plan for what to do because this is not something you have to accept as your normal. If you're ready, let's get into it. Before we talk about what to do, I want to make sure you understand what is actually happening. Because once you understand the mechanism, the pain starts to make sense. And that matters. It matters because knowledge is the beginning of relief. Here is what most women do not know. Estrogen is a natural anti-inflammatory. Simply said, estrogen helps regulate your body's inflammatory response. It acts like a built-in fire suppression system. When estrogen levels are stable, your immune system and joints are in balance. Inflammation is kept in check. Your tendons are flexible. Your cartilage stays cushioned and your joints move with ease because estrogen is quietly managing all the chemistry in the background. Think of it this way. Estrogen is the thermostat in your home. When it's working, the temperature stays comfortable. You do not need to think about it. But when the thermostat stops functioning, the temperature swings wildly. Too hot, too cold, unpredictable. Your body cannot regulate itself. Here's the connection to joint pain. When estrogen begins to decline during perimenopause, and remember, this is not a sudden drop. It is years-long fluctuation. Your body's natural anti-inflammatory protection starts to pull back. The fire suppression system gets weaker, and the inflammation that estrogen was quietly managing starts to rise. That inflammation goes directly to your joints. It settles into the tissue around your tendons. It affects the fluid in your shoulder capsule. It makes the cartilage in your knees more vulnerable. It makes healing from small injuries take dramatically longer than it used to. And here is what makes this so confusing and so frustrating. The inflammation does not announce itself as hormonal. It announces itself as pain, stiffness, limited range of motion. You reach up to get something off the shelf. and something in your shoulder suddenly stops you. You wake up and your hands feel swollen, even when they don't look like it. You sit down for an hour and standing up again now takes a moment, something you didn't used to do. Is that not wild? Your hormones, specifically their decline, can express themselves at what feels completely like a physical injury. And without that context, you and your doctor are looking in the wrong places entirely. Now, let me get specific because perimenopause joint pain does not always look the same. There are three primary ways inflammation shows up, and I want you to be able to recognize your own experience in one of them. The first is general joint stiffness. This is the one that feels like aging. Your knees ache when you climb stairs. Your hips feel tight when you get up from a chair. Your lower back protests in the morning. Your fingers feel stiff when you first wake up, and you have to flex them to get them back to life. This is the one thing women most attribute to getting older and most likely to simply push through. Do not push through it in silence. This is a signal. The second is tendon and connective tissue pain. Estrogen is not only an anti-inflammatory, it also plays a critical role in collagen production. Collagen is the protein that makes your tendons and ligaments strong and flexible. As estrogen declines, collagen production slows. Your tendons become more vulnerable. Women in perimenopause experience dramatically higher rates of tendonitis, plantar fasciitis, and rotator cuff injuries, not because they're doing anything different, but because the structural support that estrogen provided is quietly decreasing. One woman on a health forum I follow said it perfectly. She used to be a runner that could walk off minor injuries. In perimenopause, every injury required physical therapy. Same woman, same body, different hormonal environment. The third, and the one I want to spend the most time on, is frozen shoulder. I want to say that again because I want it to land. Frozen shoulder. In some parts of Asia, it is called 50-year-old shoulder, not because of age, but because of the hormonal shift. Frozen shoulder is a condition where the capsule of the tissue surrounding the shoulder joint becomes inflamed and thickened, severely limiting the range of motion. Reaching behind your back, lifting your arm, putting on a jacket, a bra, a seatbelt, every one of those movements becomes a real significant pain. What the research is now showing is that women in perimenopause develop frozen shoulder at dramatically higher rates than any other population. And the connection is direct. Decline estrogen, rise inflammation, and vulnerable connective tissue. The combination creates a perfect condition for the shoulder capsule to lock down. Can you relate? Because I know a lot of you have been told your shoulder pain is a rotator cuff issue or bursitis, or it's just tension. And you left the appointment with a referral to physical therapy, but not a single question about where you are in your hormonal transition. I want to be honest with you about something. The medical system is not designed to look at a woman's body as a connected system. It is designed to treat symptoms in isolation. Your shoulder goes to the orthopedic. Your knees goes to the sports medicine doctor. Your fatigue goes to your primary physician. Your mood changes go to a psychiatrist. And nobody in any of those rooms is asking, where is this woman in her hormonal transition? And could estrogen decline be the thread that connects all these symptoms? The answer overwhelmingly is yes. And yet women are being sent home with the diagnoses that are partial at best and wrong at worst. I want to tell you what I hear most from women navigating this. They go to the orthopedist for the shoulder. They're told it's frozen shoulder. and given a cortisone injection, referred to physical therapy, and sent home. What they are almost never told is physical therapy during early inflammation phase of frozen shoulder can actually make it worse. The shoulder needs to move through specific phases, and pushing range of motion when inflammation is still active can intensify the pain and extend the duration. That is a critical piece of information that women deserve to have. The other thing they are almost never told is this. Preliminary research is now showing that women who are on systematic estrogen therapy have roughly half the risk of developing frozen shoulder. Half. Not a small difference, a significant measurable difference. And yet, hormonal conversation is still rarely the first one offered. I am not telling you this to make you angry, although it's okay if you are. I am telling you this because I want you to walk into your next appointment armed. I want you to be the woman in the room who connects the dots, because right now you have to. Now I want to add one more layer to this, because for those of you who follow this channel, I often talked about what I call survival mode, the state your body enters when cortisol, your primary stress hormone, is chronically elevated. And here is the connection that most people never make. Cortisol and estrogen have an inverse relationship. When one is high, the other is suppressed. When you are in survival mode, when your nervous system is running on chronic stress, poor sleep, and constant output, your cortisol goes up, and the estrogen that was already declining declines faster and faster. But it gets worse. Cortisol itself is a pro-inflammatory at chronic levels. In short bursts, cortisol actually reduces inflammation. That is its job in an acute stress response. But when it's elevated day after day, week after week, it begins to promote inflammation throughout the body, including your joints. So here is what's happening for many women in midlife. Estrogen is declining, removing the anti-inflammatory protection your joints depend on. At the same time, chronic stress is pushing cortisol up, which promotes further inflammation. And if you are not sleeping, and many of you are not, because night sweats and racing thoughts are real, the body's ability to repair itself during rest is compromised on top of everything else. Your joints are not just dealing with the hormonal shift, they are dealing with the perfect storm of declining protection, rising inflammation, and inadequate recovery. And you have been pushing through it, calling it aging, and wondering why your body feels like it belongs to someone else. I'm giving you permission to stop calling this aging. This is a system under siege, and a system under siege can be supported. Before I get into the practical steps, and I have 5 of them, I want to take a moment. If you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a community built specifically for women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s who are navigating midlife with real, practical information, not just age gracefully advice. New episodes every week. If this one is hitting home, hit that subscribe button so you do not miss what is coming. And if you want full show notes for today, all the resources I reference, they will be waiting for you at createthebestme.com/EP170, link down below in the show notes. All right, let's talk about what you can actually do. Here are your 5-step action plan. Step 1, name it before your appointment. Write down every joint system you are experiencing. Be specific. Which joints? What time of day is it when it gets worse? When did it start? Has it gotten worse over time? And critically connect it to your hormonal timeline. When did your periods become irregular? When did your sleep start to shift? When did the fatigue arrive? That timeline is evidence. Track it and bring it to your next appointment. Step 2, ask the hormonal question directly. When you are in your appointment, whether it's with your primary doctor, your gynecologist, or your orthopedist, ask this out loud. Could declining estrogen be contributing to this? And have we considered where I am in my hormonal transition? You may get a doctor who says no. You may get a doctor who says they're not sure. But asking the question plants the flag. It tells them you are looking at this as a connected picture. And it may be the prompt that sends them to look further. Step 3, do not skip the frozen shoulder conversation. If you are experiencing shoulder pain with any restriction in range of motion, difficulty reaching behind your back, above your head, across your body, ask specifically about frozen shoulder. And if you are diagnosed, ask your doctor this follow-up question. What phase of frozen shoulder am I in? And is this the right time to begin physical therapy? Phase matters immensely. Physical therapy during the active inflammatory phase can worsen the condition. You need that information before you start. Step 4, address the cortisol connection. If you are in survival mode, if your stress is high, your sleep is broken, your nervous system is running on empty, your joint pain will be harder to treat because the inflammatory environment is being fed from 2 directions. This is not about eliminating stress overnight, but it's about prioritizing the basics. Sleep, movement that is gentle rather than intense, reducing cortisol triggers you can control. I have done a full episode on each of these. I will link them in the descriptions. Your joints need a calmer hormonal environment to heal. Step 5, move, but move gently and with intention. I know that when everything hurts, the last thing you want to hear is exercise more. I'm not saying that. I am saying is this: gentle. Consistent movement is one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory tools available to you. Walking, swimming, gentle yoga, resistant training with lighter weights. Movement keeps the synovial fluid in your joints circulating, which is the fluid that lubricates them. Stillness, as tempting as it is, allows inflammation to settle. Do this with me. Now, roll your shoulders back 3 times. Gently. Do it. Don't just watch me. Join. That is 10 seconds of anti-inflammatory action. You can build from there. Here's what I wish I had known and what I wish someone had said to the women I know who've spent years blaming themselves for the body that was never actually broken. The old way was to assume the pain was inevitable, to accept that this was just a part of getting older, to see a specialist, to get a diagnosis, treat the symptoms in isolation, and never ask why was it happening in the first place. The old way was to be grateful for the cortisone shot that helped for 6 weeks and then left you right back where you started. The old way was to push through, exercise harder, take ibuprofen, and tell yourself everyone your age feels this way. The new way is to understand that your body has a language, and the joint pain in midlife is the one clearest sentence it knows how to speak. It is saying, estrogen is declining. Inflammation is rising. The system needs support, not just system management. The new way is to walk into an appointment and ask the connected questions instead of accepting the isolated answer. The new way is to understand that frozen shoulder, tendonitis, morning stiffness, and achy knees may all speak the same hormonal language. The new way is to treat your body as a whole system because it is one. I want you to hear me. The pain you are feeling is not a character flaw. It is not laziness. It is not weakness. It is not aging on schedule. It is a system signaling that the chemistry has changed and the chemistry can be addressed. You did not fail your body. Your body is asking you clearly, loudly, and persistently to learn a new language. And you are here. You are listening. That is already the beginning of something better. I want to hear from you. Are you one of the women who has been dealing with joint pain, shoulder stiffness, morning aches, frozen shoulder, and never once heard a doctor connect it to your hormones? Come back in the comments and tell me your story. Tell me where the pain showed up first. Tell me how long it took you to get an answer. Because your experience matters and other women need to hear they are not alone in this. And when you're done sharing in the comments, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. It's a great way to stay connected and support the content you enjoy. If this episode helped you connect the dots that has been confusing you, please share it. Share it with a woman who has been told it's just arthritis, or it's just stress, or you're just getting older. She deserves to know there is more to the story. Until then, keep dreaming big, take care of yourself, and remember, you are beautiful, strong, and capable of creating the best version of yourself, one day at a time. You are worthy to be seen. Catch you next week. Bye for now.